Good evening, peeps. Good evening. All right, let's do this. Guys, we're going live this Sunday, by the way. Not quite sure the time yet, but I'm thinking 7:30. Just double check the community tab. More likely 7:30, but just double check the community tab tomorrow for the exact time. All right, let's talk about Canelo for a few minutes. I did touch on this subject in yesterday's video that Canelo had signed on to fight YILDIRIM, but I do want to expand on the subject a bit just because I've seen some interesting views about him fighting YILDIRIM from just general public, former fighters, current fighters. A few people have had a dig at Canelo choosing to fight YILDIRIM next. Remember, he has signed a 2-fight deal with DAZN and Matchroom, and this is the first fight on that deal. I believe the second fight, don't have to be a Mystic Mac. I do think the second fight is going to be Billy Joe Saunders, or at least we hope the second fight is going to be Billy Joe Saunders. But back to this YILDIRIM fight announcement. I am very cool, by the way, with him fighting YILDIRIM. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever, just because the fight before that was an unbeaten, ring-recognized #1 at super middleweight, Callum Smith. I've said this before. I am so cool with fighters doing that, right? You can have a tough one, a gimme, then a tough one. For me, in my ideal world, and it doesn't really happen anymore, a fighter fights 3 or 4 times a year. Of those 3 or 4 times, if it's 3 times, you have one gimme, right? If it's 4 times, you have 2 gimmies. And YILDIRIM ain't a gimme, by the way. Canelo will beat YILDIRIM, right? Probably stop him. But it's not like he's fighting, journeyman. He's fighting a guy that's world ranked. How highly ranked, I don't know, but world ranked nonetheless. So I have no problem with Canelo fighting Callum Smith, again, unbeaten, then YILDIRIM, and then fingers crossed Billy Joe Saunders, right? And then I still think he'll have a fight somewhere later on in the year. I think Canelo is going to have 3 or 4 fights, fingers crossed, in 2021. Some people's reaction to him fighting YILDIRIM is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Canelo's got credit in the bank to do whatever he wants to do as far as I'm concerned. Just because, there was a stretch of him fighting Golovkin twice. He went 24 rounds with, at the time, people were saying the hardest hitting middleweight ever. That's what he did. He done that. You've got credit in the bank for me. He then went and fought Danny Jacobs. More credit in the bank for me. He then went up to 175 and fought Kovalev. More credit in the bank for me. This is what he's done. This is what he's been doing the last couple of years. He then fought Callum Smith. More credit in the bank. In between that, he had a gimme with Rocky Fielding. That was the only gimme. And now everyone's upset that he's going to fight YILDIRIM. What's everyone else doing? What's everyone else doing? I saw some boxers tweet out stuff and put stuff on their Insta stories that, Canelo, look what Canelo's doing. Why is he fighting that, the pound for pound #1? He shouldn't be fighting this kind of level. And I'm like, what are you doing? Focus on you. What you're doing with your career before you have a dig at a guy that has fought levels and levels of opposition for the last 5-6 years. Levels. So some of the people that he fought, Lara, do you know what I mean? 154 guys, Trout, Floyd. And people are talking about what Canelo's doing. It's ridiculous. Honestly, absolutely ridiculous. Timothy Bradley, I think, tweeted out saying, Canelo isn't fighting the best opposition. I'm not paying for this, which is cool. Fine, right? You don't have to sign up to DAZN to watch it. I get that. What are the other top fighters doing? Again, it's not like Canelo is the only top 160, 168 fighter. What are the other 160 and 160 fighters doing? What are they doing? Are they fighting top opposition? Is Caleb Plant fighting top opposition? Is Benavidez, or he should have been, but is Benavidez right now signed up to fight top opposition? Billy Joe Saunders just fought Martin Murray. Charlo, give him credit, fought Derevyanchenko. Gennady Golovkin fought Zaran Mata. I don't care if it's mandatory. That's what the top opposition are doing. Who's Demetrius Andrade fighting? And people are talking about what Canelo's doing. Like he hasn't given us great nights and great fights in the last couple of years. Again, for me, he's got credit in the bank. I have no problem. We're going to get to a point, and I do genuinely believe he's going to run through YILDIRIM, so I do think he will fight in May. We're going to get a situation where Canelo's fighting 3 times in 6 months. Who is doing that? Who's doing that? It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous level. And people are having a go as though Canelo like is taking the piss out of the sport or something. No, no, no. Other boxers are. I don't know why, but I don't know. Sometimes I do wonder if it's the Floyd thing again, and it's probably nothing to do with Floyd, where Floyd fought twice a year on that Showtime contract. I do wonder if fighters are just think that's the norm and that's how you're going to grow your brand. It's not. It's not at all. Right? You need to fight more often. If the fight is a tough, grueling fight, I get it. Let the body heal. I'm for that. The camps are tough. Making weight is tough. Sparring's tough. I get all that. And then if the fight's tough, no, stop. You're right. Rest the body. Don't fight for 6 or 7 months because it's tough. If you run through a fighter, why are you not out 2-3 months later? If you can be out. If your promoter's putting on shows, why are you not out? I don't get it. Yes, I understand the politics behind and maybe, in terms of the pay packet, but you should still be out there. But you get these fighters, like, just kind of laughing at Canelo's opposition. Like, I think Chris Eubank Jr. said something, and I'm like, what? Dude, you fought Korobov. I always get this name up. Korobov. It's Korobov. You fought Korobov in, December 2019. And we're coming up to February 2021. And you have the audacity to even question him fighting Yildirim because you, knocked Yildirim out. It's like, some of these boxers, man. Honestly, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I don't understand the inactivity in some of them. I really don't. Fury Joshua's on, by the way. It's on. Like, someone sent me something. My phone's over there. Someone sent me something, and it was like, I think it was a fan-made poster, or maybe it was a poster that was leaked, I don't know, about the fight happening in Saudi Arabia. I think it was a fan-made poster. And it spoke about, it was a poster of AJ Fury. And what was it? And someone, I'm guessing, that knows Fury was like, oh, is this right? Like, is this happening? And Fury just responded, yep. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm clutching at straws here, but I do believe it's done, right? And I know the WBO are going to have words with Usyk. Usyk seems to be the stumbling block right now in terms of getting shit sorted. I know the WBO are going to have words with Usyk and maybe ask him to step aside, or maybe they're going to ask Usyk to maybe, agree this step aside fee that he's wanting. But I'm on 100 now, people. I've gone from 90, 95, 97. I think I was 99 last week. I'm now 100% certain that AJ versus Fury happens this year. Another thing that I'm 100% certain on is that I'm going to be there. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to be there. Can't wait. Can't wait. All right, shall we have a look at the stories after my little Canelo rant? How can people even dare question what Canelo's doing? Punks. All right, what we got? Teofimo Lopez Jr. and Sr. and Zepeda Baranchyk among 2020 Boxing Writers of America, I think Boxing Writers of Association of America Award honorees. Yeah, I mean, Zepeda Baranchyk, what a fucking fight that was. Jeez. Oh, both of those fighters are not going to be right after that. And Teofimo Lopez, well done. Is Senior there because of a trainer? If that's what he's there for, then that does surprise me a little bit. Yeah, I'm not, nah, I don't know. Like, in terms of trainers, yeah, nah, not for me. Not for me. It's got to be Derek James, hasn't it? To be fair, I mean, what he done with the Charlos and Errol Spence last year. I mean, come on. I mean, one Charlo fought Rosario, the other Charlo fought Derevyanchenko, Spence fought Garcia. I'm sorry, that tops Teofimo beating Loma. It really does. Martin McCulley has inked an advisory deal with MTK Global. I want to see a bit more from McCulley. I wasn't too impressed with his performance against Kuzman, if I'm honest with you. Thought he looked flat in that fight. I want to see a bit more. He needs to get into that mix where we're talking about him versus, I don't know, I'm trying to think who out there in and around. I'd like to see a fight between him and Charles Martin, That'd be interesting. Although it looks like Charles Martin might be fighting Deontay Wilder. But here from Josh Warrington about why he has vacated his IBF title. Belts don't mean shit, basically. He's just literally done a Riddick Bowe and throw that belt in the bin. Why put yourself in a position where you're having to fight Kid Galahad again? I don't understand. And what I don't understand is why Eddie, because it was Eddie that forced that fight to happen. Remember, he wasn't signed with Eddie at the time. So I think after that fight, obviously Kid Galahad being signed to Eddie, I think Eddie's pushed and pressured the IBF to kind of force a rematch or something, or put Kid Galahad in a position where he's mandatory again. And I think that's bull crap. So well done to Josh Warrington. It is a risk. How big a deal was he without the belt and without a crowd right now? I'm guessing, fingers crossed, they're hoping gets past Manuel Lara, which he should, and then by the summer there is a crowd, then he can lure one of these guys over, because with a crowd, there's a gate. With a gate, you can pay some big money. What we got here? Clarissa Shields is fighting on pay-per-view. Basically, American networks have simply said goodbye to female boxing, hence why she's have to put it on pay-per-view rather than it being on Showtime, where she's had a couple of her fights. Disappointing the price. I think I saw a price point for the fight that she's having, $29.95, like £20 for Clarissa Shields. It's too much. I mean, who works out this thing? I mean, look, if AJ Pulev was $29.95 over here, and he's like heavyweight champion of the world, like people would be fucking sending Sky threatening letters. She's fighting for $29.95. It's just too much, unfortunately. You can understand why now we see her doing the MMA stuff. Maybe she thinks she's going to get a lot more love there, because it doesn't seem like they love her too much on American networks, and they should, because she really sells a fight. She does a lot to market herself. That's a shame. That's a shame. Timothy Bradley. Canelo not facing the best right now. YILDIRIM is a punching bag I'm not paying. We don't need to get into that, but that just reiterates what I was saying at the start. And I think I said Timothy Bradley as well, didn't I? Joke team. Joseph Parker. After far, I'd love the opportunity to face Joe Joyce. Ooh, I like that one. I like that one. The forgotten man is Joseph Parker. The forgotten man of the heavyweight boxing scene. Is he still a top 10? I think so. I don't think there are 10 heavyweights out there that can beat him. I don't think so, but we'll see what he does. Let's hope he can get back in the mix. Gilberto Ramirez. Canelo fight would be a classic. He knows I'm not Kovalev or Smith. Yeah, you're not Kovalev or Smith because you don't have a belt. What's he going to fight you for? You're big, you're strong, but you have no belt. So your value to Canelo is very minimal right now. He wants to clean up at 168. Unfortunately, you gave your belt away at 168. And guess who got your belt? Billy Joe Saunders. Guess who he might be fighting after YILDIRIM? Billy Joe Saunders. You made the mistake right there. You made the mistake right there. All right. Conor McGregor fighting tomorrow. The champ is back against Dustin Poirier. Because we are doing a live on Sunday, we will focus on that, by the way. I mean, I know this is called Boxing Talk with Ade, but Conor McGregor is the biggest combat sports star in the world. I think we've got to talk about him. Plus, there is that element about him versus Pac-Man, so it's definitely worth a discussion. All right, last couple of bits. There's not much to talk about. I did really just want to talk about the Canelo thing. It pissed me off a bit. Josh Taylor, I really do believe I'm going to knock Jose Ramirez out. Oh, before we go, shit, I forgot about this. The Tea Leaf Company sent me loads of tea. I mean, go and support them if you can, people. I'm obviously a tea fiend. Real tea. Real tea. Not the tea bags that we use, like real tea. Shout out to the Tea Leaf Company for sending me that. All right, let's talk about Josh Taylor Ramirez. Josh Taylor's talking about this fight is already signed, which suggests some things are going on behind the scenes. You know what the problem is about this fight? Josh Taylor Ramirez. How big a fight is it? It's such a shame that we're talking, this is an, undisputed unification, number one at 140 pounds. I don't know if it's that big a deal, like that it does numbers, and that shouldn't mean anything. But both fighters, they want to get paid, right? I don't know how big a fight it is. I really don't. Shame. It's a fight that should, like, everyone should be talking about. It should be on the lips of everyone, but it isn't. It isn't. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm both of them, you want Broner to hang around, and you really want to fight Broner, because that fighting Broner will be more money for them than them fighting each other. How crazy is that, right? That's boxing for you. That's boxing. I don't think Ramirez is that much of a star, unfortunately. Josh Taylor, I thought, should be a star and is a star, but I don't know. I don't know how much the casuals really know about him. And for a fight to be big to the point where they get paid, you know, 7 figures, you need the casuals involved. And I just don't think the casuals are too involved in this one. Like, I know casual boxing fans, and if I ask them about Ramirez, they're not going to know who I'm talking about. Even if I ask them about Josh Taylor, they'll be like, I kind of heard the name before. So yeah, they need to do a lot. They need to do a big push with Josh Taylor, a big push. And this is the benefit of being with Eddie a little bit. Eddie pushes for you. There is a matchroom machine. There clearly is. I know people might not think that, but there is. There is a matchroom machine. I think Eddie will do a lot of the heavy lifting for Josh. He does need to be known a bit more. And then there's obviously the Sky Sports Factory will be on that platform a bit as well. So I don't know, but let's hope that fight happens in 2021. All right, tomorrow, tune in for the live. Peace and love, homies.